Welcome back to another episode of STEM and Stilettos. This is your host, Zofia Morales, and I am here today with Katie Stearns. And we are going to discuss the future is personal, technology, self-expression, and the new era of wearable AI innovation. So if you've ever looked at some of the tech that's out there, from the headsets and the iPods and all the things, and went, oh, gads, it makes me look like a tech head. I want to look fashionable and cool. You've arrived at the right place today because Katie is going to make you fashionable and cool. Not only do we have some good business discussion here, but you want to stay to the end and find out where you can get on the early notification list.
Yes.
Katie is the founder and CEO of Blyngz Luxury Technologies, a category-defining company at the intersection of AI, self-expression, and wearable technology. She's a serial entrepreneur with a previous successful exit, an impact investor focused on amplifying women-led founders, a board director, and a speaker. She's passionate about personalization and technology integration and believes the next wave of innovation will be deeply human, shaped by how people want to express who they are. Welcome to the show, Katie.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
I'm so excited to have
I
you
just
here.
love the title. You had me at the title.
Very good. That's what we aim for with the title. That and the thumbnail. Come on. So tell us a little bit, Katie, about how you worked your way into serial entrepreneurship and eventually into Blyngz.
Sure. I mean, it's a long journey because I always joke I came out the womb an entrepreneur. I just see the world through that lens. And if you have ever studied Myers-Briggs personality types, I have that entrepreneur type, right? And
Which one is that? What are the letters?
ENTP, ENTJ.
Okay, I'm an INTJ.
Yeah. So the NPs are, anyway, around that area generally. And I also grew up in kind of an entrepreneurial family.
Which also helps.
Yeah. So it was normal dinner table conversation to talk about sales and business deals. And my grandparents were farmers. They got out of that and got into real estate before I was born in the 50s.
Okay.
And my grandmother was a master saleswoman, and she'd stage houses before they did that.
Wow.
She'd go into properties and paint the dining room herself to prepare that for sale.
There you go.
You could make more money and sell it faster. And then later I started the very first Minnesota home staging company.
Okay.
And my mother was an interior designer, and then she started her own interior design business out of her house. So I've been around it my whole life, but I've had a wide variety of different businesses over the years that have been agnostic.
I was going to say that there's a bit of a step between staging homes and developing wearable AI.
Totally. So I have an insatiable curiosity, and I love tackling new problems. But also, actually, there was a big step in between, which was I launched my own CPG company as a consumer packaged goods company.
Okay.
Consumer packaged goods. So a consumable generally, right?
Right.
And it was very successful. I bootstrapped everything I've done prior to Blyngz. So I grew every single company entirely out of revenue. Like literally.
Wow.
My last company, I started with $2,000 from a consulting job I had done and left from that. And I grew that company to over $1 million in revenue in 3 years.
Nice.
And sold it. And I got full price offers too.
Yay.
And that was super fun because when I launched that business, I wasn't building it thinking about, I'm going to build this big business to sell it.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about this I'm like, God, I think that could really sell well. And I love this idea. And that business taught me a ton. It was actually a super complex business because I wasn't building one product. It was called You Betcha Box. I'm from Minnesota. Yeah. And you betcha. Yes, you betcha is what we say here. It's our kind of catchphrase, Minnesota classic thing.
Oh, yeah, sure, you betcha.
Oh, you sure? Yeah, you're from here,
Yeah.
So, but we're also kind of self-deprecating. And so I played into our sense of humor, and I had all these Minnesota-themed gift boxes that were using products made by other Minnesota small makers and entrepreneurs that were all food-based, food or beverage. So I had the hot sauce makers. I had a box called the Minnesota Hotties, and it was 5 different.
You don't usually think of hot sauce in Minnesota in the same thought.
But you don't. I mean, it was like ketchup is a little spicy for us. No. And then it really took off, and it was very successful. And I did this all through COVID. COVID just was actually good for us because people needed to ship gifts and they had company events that they couldn't do in person. So they were sending out Betcha boxes and things like that, or virtual event boxes. So they'd have a company-wide Zoom call and we'd send out Betcha boxes so that the staff could have snacks throughout the meeting. So it was.
And did you start as like B2B that way, or did you start as B2C?
It was both. It was
Yeah.
both. Yeah. It was kind of like somebody from a company would call me and order 30 or 50. I wasn't
Okay.
selling through a distribution channel. So that meant it was really great when I got those volume orders because
Oh, sure.
essentially they were paying retail pricing for it. So I had massive margins on that. I didn't have to go through a distributor, which that's a whole nother thing I learned about
That's
food.
a big win.
Gnarly. I mean, if you're my vendors, these poor vendors I was working with, my suppliers, these food makers were trying to get big deals so they could get their product distributed to grocery
Sure.
stores. Man, I watched their struggles. It was brutal. Having to deal with the distributors and the stores and the costs of marketing. And it was just crazy. So anyway, I learned a ton with that business as well as all my previous businesses. And I was like, okay, I loved the selling it part. That was really exciting. You know,
Yeah.
all that work paid off.
Woo!
And it was cash flow. Yeah, it was cash flowing and everything. It was great.
Yeah.
But still. Then I was like, okay, what's next? I built this. Why not try to build $1 billion business? So I started looking for, and I also realized that I hit my head against the ceiling with my last business. I had the whole thing built out and ready to go nationally. I built all the back end systems to be able to do mass customization on demand with zero inventory risks because I had orders come in on consignment. And so I had that, it was all built and it was completely automated. And I'm like, this could go national, but I would need to have partners to help me do it or cash capital.
Yep.
And I was so busy because I was bootstrapping. I was so busy operationally. I never had the time to go out and learn how to even find investors. I had no clue.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the bootstrap, right? Because it's you, it's me, myself, and I driving the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I had really great people who came in along the way as I could afford them. I had this wonderful operator who came in who was great, but it wasn't enough time for me before the next selling season.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to be out there stumping.
Exactly, right. But I learned from that and I learned, okay, I'm going to do something big, but I'm going to do something big enough that I can get funding for it. So I can build it properly from the ground up. And make sure that I'm adequately capitalized so that I can take, because I know I'm good at this. I'm really good and talented at bringing products to market, creating brands that are viral, knowing how to connect with people so that they create an authentic experience that makes them want to engage with the product and feel evangelical about it even, you know.
Yes, exactly. You want the raving fans.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll get them if you don't listen to every bit of advice about every marketing expert, what they have to say. People are going to respond to the real you, especially when you're a startup. They want to know the person behind it. And they want to know, like with Betcha Box, I was telling the stories of these makers who are real inspiring people.
Yeah,
great stories. And that's what I was selling, their stories.
The stories, exactly.
Yeah. Not a box of groceries for crying out loud. It was the story and the inspiration that people felt. And that's what I want to do. I know I can do that with Blyngz too. And we're going to have an exceptional product. We have to, because we're going to be under a microscope, being the first ever woman invented and led consumer audio product. I am not naive to think that we're not going to be scrutinized. That the technology has to be exceptional, right?
Yeah.
However, it's going to buy us exceptional exposure because it's a compelling story.
Yeah.
But I need to be prepared to make sure I'm adequately resourced to be able to capture that exposure and parlay it eventually to sales. And brand and building that fan base for the product. So I really was looking for that right, perfect fit thing. And other things I learned along the way, like I was dealing with expiring
life. Yeah. Expiring inventory.
How expensive is this going to be to ship? I mean, I'm thinking about like something big and bulky is a lot harder to deal with because you're dealing, like if you're at Amazon, you pay by the square inch when it's
exactly. So big old bins of like popcorn is like, may not be heavy, but it's large.
Right. You're making $1 a bag too, right? And that was the other thing, like how can I extract a ton of, how can I up my cart?
Yeah, exactly.
Up my profit per transaction.
Yeah.
Right? That's the other beautiful thing you're learning along the way, right? And that's the beauty, I guess, of medical devices. They don't have to sell that many, but they can charge a ton for it. So
Yeah, exactly.
mine's a little bit more of a volume play.
I was going to say, a medical device has additional, shall we say, administrative resistance. A lot of times in medical or
getting in the door
anything like that.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. And getting
the
all the
barriers to entry
approvers and the clearances and the testing. Yeah, it's
barriers to entry. And it's so weird, like in the investor community, for some reason, investors, like serious investors, seem to be drawn to medical, but not to consumer hardware. And I'm like, why? Consumer is so much easier to bring to market. You have a bigger audience, you can charge a lot. It's been quite a journey to learn all this. So I don't know, where did I leave off?
We were learning about maximizing our cart and some of the lessons that came out of that.
Oh, all of that, right? So I started looking for what I thought might be a good opportunity. And this idea came forward, which was the first audio earring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was really intrigued. And it was one of these big startup events, and it was, 90% of the audience were men. But the 10% of the women that were there swarmed after the presentation.
Yeah.
Like we all saw it. It was just
exactly.
self-evident.
And the men are over there clueless, going, "Oh,
they're walking right on by.
Women niche kind of thing."
Yeah. Oh, that's for the girls,
Yeah, that's it's only 51% of the population. Why would we market to that?
I'm really actually glad you've overlooked us, because that's, that means that's ka-ching for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, it's a huge, huge opportunity. I mean, I'm very excited about how big of an opportunity it is. I realized that we needed to have a very different product vision. So I reinvented the product and made it much more, I'm thinking a lot. I'm doing this through the lens of commercialization.
Yeah.
And understanding profitability and minimizing our SKU counts, and how do we, so I'm thinking about it through a business lens as well.
As well as consumer appeal and consumer uptake. Because
that part.
A lot of times the engineer doesn't have the fashion sense or the consumer sense the same way that someone from your background would have.
It's, I have a degree in sociology, and I always tell people that if you're going to I always say that was my best educational background I could have had. I'm naturally geared as an entrepreneur anyway. I didn't need to go take that degree program for that, and I had businesses since I was 10 years old, literally. So I didn't need that. What I needed, there were some technical things you have to learn, of course, but in terms of the basic kind of understanding it. But the sociology is the root of marketing. It's the root of customer research. It provides for you the tools you need to do human-centric research, to understand, like, when you're actually getting at something objectively. I think the mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make is they fall in love with the product.
Yes.
And then they read the customer research as everything good they think is all, and then if they get 20% negative feedback, they ignore it.
Yeah, exactly. Because someone said my baby was ugly.
And I tell entrepreneurs this all the time. Now, I said, ignore the good stuff. That 20% is gold.
Yep.
That is going to make or break your success. If you can look at the 20% and why they don't like it, now you may not win over all of them.
Right.
But if they're willing to actually share negative, first of all, that's hard. Most people don't share the negative.
Those are diamonds, actually.
Yes, absolutely. So that's really prepared me for this too. And kind of like looking around corners, seeing where trends are, what do people want, what's missing, looking in the negative space, as I call it. It's hard for people to see what doesn't yet exist.
Yes.
And you may have heard and this is what kind of a visionary type is about. You're seeing something that you've never manifested yet.
Yeah, and not everybody has the capability to do that.
Right.
We are up on our first break.
Okay.
But I know you can expand your capability to do that. So we'll expand on some of that when we come back. What do you suggest as a thought exercise going into this break for our listeners?
Think about as a thought exercise for them.
Yeah, I have one. I got one. I want to encourage you, if you haven't talked to your customer, make a plan to talk to a dozen of those, first of all. And then if you have talked to your customer, I want you to go back and really mine that feedback for the critique. And hang with us. We'll be right back.
Oh, check it out, the world here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales. I am back with the amazing and wonderful Katie Stearns from Blyngz. And before the break, we suggested that people give some thought to, have they contacted their customer? Did they really mine the gold that they got in terms of criticisms of their service or their product? How do you approach mining the gold out of that? How do you kind of separate yourself from the sting when they say your baby's ugly?
Yeah. I always say, don't fall in love with your product, fall in love with your customers.
Okay.
Try to be neutral about your product. If you can do that, if you can really care about them mostly, and you have to take it with a grain of salt too. Like, not every criticism is right. You shouldn't listen to all of it. In fact, I've been in many situations where I've tried to comply with one person who had a real strong feeling about the way we should price things, for example, because that's how she was about it. That's how she felt about it.
All right.
So you have to stay open to looking at the data. The data is going to tell you a lot too. So especially as you're in it, go back and look. Where did your sales come from? After the first year of Betcha Box, I went back and analyzed the data. That's something else, by the way, a sociology degree will teach you.
Yes. Statistics.
And so I went back and looked, and I realized that 3% of my transactions accounted for 43% of my sales.
Now, those are the people you need to listen to.
100%. I'm like, stop putting all of my money, all of my efforts, all of my resources, or most of them, need to be directed to this 3%. Who are they? What industries are they in? What is the profile of that kind of a customer? And realizing, so for that, obviously, these are going to be volume buyers for me, right? And these are certain size businesses, and they were certain types of businesses where they're buying large quantities of gifts for their clients or customers during the holidays. Now, how do I get to that business? Sometimes I did have to go through the consumer route, because the person who buys those, who picks out the gift that they're going to give, is usually an admin.
Right.
That
I was going to
admin's
say
on
an
Facebook.
assistant, or yeah, exactly.
They're on Facebook. They're not.
Yeah.
There's some industry thing.
They're not doing LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah, right. They're on just now back. This is prior to TikTok, right?
Yeah.
So now it's probably more along TikTok.
I was going to say TikTok.
That was ancient
Insta,
history.
you know.
This was ancient history when I was building. Things changed literally by the month now. But with social media, the way it's evolving, and now you're not building for SEO optimization, you're building for LLM optimization now, very quickly.
Exactly.
Overnight.
If you're still doing SEO, you're gone.
You're behind. So I think your question was looking for it. How do you find it? The other thing I want to emphasize is there's no shortcuts to success. You can't think just mass marketing your product is going to work.
Yeah, it works for some things, but it doesn't work for all things.
You have to do both things. You have to get in front of your customers. I don't care if you're selling software. I don't care what it is you're selling. You have to do face-to-face, find a way to get in front of them.
I think it's
practice your pitch.
I think it's even more important now than it was pre-AI, because right now the market is so inundated with what they call AI slop.
Yes.
That if they don't see a real person's face, and not just a real person's face, but like a real person in front of them, they don't know if you're real or not.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, it's kind of like there's no shortcut to practice. You've heard about the 10,000 hour rule.
Yeah,
going
exactly.
to the Beatles summer in Europe, where they went and they just
Mastering
played night after night after
yeah.
night after night at these small clubs on the continental Europe. And with Betcha Box, I was out doing shows, holiday shows.
Yeah, sure.
In front of thousands. I would pitch to thousands of people walking by. And you listen, you have to not just be driving a direct sale with them. You're also observing how different pitches land, and you're observing their body language and seeing what resonates, and like, oh, really? That
and,
like, oh,
and how they're reacting to a concept. Yeah.
I'm selling them this breakfast box, right? And it's got the maple syrup, and it's got pancake mix and all that stuff in their coffee. And if I say, oh, they're going to love to eat this for breakfast. Oh, just imagine everybody loves that. And they would be like, oh, whatever. But I said, let me tell you about this coffee. Let me tell you, you know what? It was made by this guy. He's the nicest guy. And I'd start telling the stories of the makers and what makes their product unique and how it's so, they were like wanting to eat it themselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. I need it for me.
Yeah. And they were getting all excited. they got so excited about the story behind the products and the people
Yeah.
behind the products. And I thought, okay, I got to lean into the maker thing more. And really what I eventually really understood, I kind of had an instinct towards this, and it was confirmed that I'm essentially selling a box of groceries. How do I add value to it? How do I make it bigger than that? And it
It's the story.
I had a card for every maker with their picture, their inspirational story, a recipe on the back. You'd open it up and you'd have this buffalo plaid tissue
Aw.
paper. And that was what I was selling. I was selling local pride. I was selling the association people wanted to make with, these are my values too. I care about supporting small businesses, and I love to be inspired by people who are doing their own thing like this, So,
Yeah.
and that is the true story of brand. That's what's underneath brand. And frankly, in every product or service, brand is equally important to IP. Brand is IP.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
IP that's very hard to steal. So yes, we need to have strong IP. We need to have patents. We need to have trademarks. And in fact, my trademark was one of the most invaluable things about my company, which was You Betcha.
You betcha. Speaking
Yeah.
of IP,
Yeah.
I think that kind of swings us back around to patents.
Okay.
And I know prior to the interview, we were talking about the importance of utility patents,
Mhm.
especially in a field like you're going into right now, where the engineering is a big heart of what's going on. Talk to us about the utility patent process, and should you ever be talked into a design patent instead of a utility patent?
Well, I'm learning too, but I'm
Okay.
kind of proud of myself that I just received word a couple of weeks ago that our patent has been approved.
Yay!
Thank you. And it's a utility patent, and it's way bigger than what it was originally submitted. And
Yeah.
I can explain what happened there. A patent is super important for a tech product, and it's not always what you think. Our utility patent is very distinctive because it's almost a form factor patent, but it's utility still, right?
Yeah.
The electronics, the circuit board, all that's kind of common use. It's
Yeah,
not,
exactly. That's
I'm
not
not-
novel.
I'm not doing deep tech where I'm like
Right.
trying to create a time machine inside of an earring. You know what I mean? This is basically, it's earbud technology. It's advanced earbud technology because we're using top of the line semiconductor chip that has top of the line Bluetooth built BLE audio. That's, so it's built for the future, right? I'm not building it something that's going to be obsolete in a year.
Exactly. Not the initial Bluetooth that we had back in.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
classic Bluetooth. Everything's moving now to BLE, which is really fascinating. And if you want, I can go into the difference. But
Oh, we have a whole nother episode, maybe.
yeah. But the utility patent is very important because, don't get talked out of it. And at first, honestly, sometimes you really have to advocate for yourself,
Yes.
especially when you're building something like I am building that isn't the typical, I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
I'm not approaching this like an engineer would, in the sense of, but I am building something that is patentable and that is engineering based, right?
Yeah.
But I'm approaching the novelty of this, of what I'm putting forward differently. But you have to trust that you are. And so halfway through this, I brought in an additional patent attorney. So I'd gotten back it took forever to go through the examiner's office, and finally
Yeah.
it came. What their job is, I've learned as an examiner, is to knock down everything they possibly can find wrong with it. Right?
Exactly.
And then it's your job to come back and defend it, right?
Yep.
And that means you have to really be prepared for that and make sure your attorney really gets it.
Is also, yes.
And they have to understand it fundamentally to understand the value of it so that they can defend it properly.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've decided to bring in a patent prosecutor as well. So I have two patent
There you go.
attorneys. I wanted a second opinion because I felt
The patent attorney who writes it and the patent attorney who knows how to bust it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might break this thing for me, please. What can we put out here that is less breakable?
That's my favorite AI prompt. It's like, okay, we've got this great plan. Now I want you to go red team this thing.
Yeah, interesting. I should try that. That's awesome.
Yeah, because
That's
AI,
brilliant. That requires
AI
bravery.
is way too agreeable.
Drive me
Your favorite yes man. And so I've done specific things to make mine a lot more Sheldon-like.
Yeah.
And give it an understanding of what's valuable information and what's Reddit slop, right?
I know.
But even with all of that stuff in place, once I get something kind of put together, I whole new different AI, take the whole mess over there and go, okay, attack this, take it
What's
apart.
wrong with this? Yeah,
Yeah.
give me the criticism. Yeah. I know you have to be on guard, be your own worst critic with AI these days. I mean, I have it in there a million times over. Do not be a sycophant. Do not be objective. And they still do it. It's still,
Oh yeah, it still sucks up to you. And mine
yeah.
seemed to be worried about my mental health every time I asked a question about something. It's like, you need to know that it's okay. You're normal to be asking this. I'm like, just stop with that. I'm fine.
I'll tell you though, this is so funny. I put in there, be harsh, I want you to be critical, be harsh,
Be direct,
be
yeah.
direct. And then it started turning into a total a-hole with me.
Yeah, Elon Musk in a box.
Started getting condescending and patronizing and turned into just a jerk. And I was like, F you.
Now you've gone too far off the other end.
Be disrespectful. So I had to go back and fix my personalization because I'm like, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, you have to dial it in a little.
Yeah, I didn't mean abusive. So anyway, getting back to the patent.
So yeah, you red teamed your patent.
I said, well, not only that, I said, I feel like we're leaving IP on the table if we take this approach of just like getting the easy yeses and then just not even defending the other stuff. I'm like, no, this other stuff that she's got problems with, I see a way forward to get that too. I don't think that this prior art that she's bringing up is actually at all related to
applicable. Yeah.
No, it's not. They're just going to kind of throw stuff up there. So you have to be prepared to. And so he and I, the other patent attorney and I, the new guy, he really listened to me well. And I kept explaining and he listened until he got it.
I think that's super important in choosing your IP attorney, because I mentioned before this conversation that I'd recently talked to another founder who got talked out of filing a utility patent. And looking back on that interaction, her IP attorney was not listening to her.
And if they're making a bunch of assumptions, like they assume sometimes you don't want to pay for extra claims. And I'm like, the claim's $150. Why wouldn't I
pay for it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a drop in the bucket compared to
cover as much ground as we can cover, because this is our moat right here. You're gonna jip on the moat.
Exactly. I'm like, this is gonna pay back 100-fold, 1,000-fold, and making sure that the patent attorney too really understands how you're gonna implement and commercialize this. It's one thing just to get the IP. You have to make them understand why it's so critical that you get it and what it can leverage for you later and build a really good future client for them. Because if I can commercialize this, I have a whole lot of other inventions.
There's more stuff that's coming. Exactly.
More stuff coming.
Well,
You're gonna have to defend it.
I think one of the things that people also don't understand as creators going into this is there are IP attorneys who actually specialize in different industries.
Yeah.
And depending on what you're doing, you probably want one of those, because my husband does pharmaceutical drug development.
You need somebody with subject.
You need an SME IP attorney. You don't want just somebody who's hung up a shingle and go, oh yeah, I do trademark and all of this and design. And no, I want somebody who knows what goes into getting a pharmaceutical patent or busting one.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm going to file the design patent, which will be coming soon. And then I can show the world what we're building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting down to the end here. So we maybe need to talk about where people can come find you, where they can connect with you, where they can get on the early notification list for some really uptown audio.
Can I tell you briefly what it is?
Sure, let's do that.
So imagine if your earrings were your AirPods.
Or your AirPods looked like actual jewelry.
Right. No, your earrings.
Yeah.
So imagine that you get up in the morning, you're getting ready for the day. Most women, the vast majority of us put on earrings, and the vast majority of us have a variety of earrings that we wear, depending on our mood, something to go with the outfit.
Exactly. Today's the day for the statement earrings.
That's
Tomorrow
right.
I want something a little more understated.
100%, right? And this is really baked into female behavior. Yes, men have earrings too, but if you go back and look at the archaeological museums across the world, and the BCs, like 5,000 BC, the female statues have on earrings.
Yeah.
And we're not going to give them up, by the way. because they
No.
frame your face. It's almost an animalistic thing. I feel like how birds have their
Yeah,
feathers.
feathers and whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I just feel it's deeply anthropological and it's human. It's global. It's not one culture. So I thought a lot about this, and my big aha moment was that I was wearing a beta prototype that was out, and I had this big, like, I don't want to wear those today. I want to wear those earrings.
Yeah.
And I had this, oh my God, what if we create the technology, but we enable personalization? We let women continue to express themselves through their earrings. Tech is in the back, ornamentation is in the front.
There you
And
go.
we can also use our existing earrings that we love with it. So we don't have to choose. We don't have to have all this crap hanging off our ears and our hair and our glasses and, earbuds that hurt and fall out.
And you don't need 16 versions of the tech to make it happen.
The tech, I always say tech's in the back, party's in front. So
it's like the mullet of earrings.
Yeah, exactly. And that was really because not only from a business perspective, that isn't just about selling a pair of earbuds every 2 years. Now I'm selling a jewelry flywheel.
Yeah.
Right. Every month somebody's buying a new pair of earrings from me. Right now we have a lifetime value of that sale that exceeds the tech.
Yeah.
But it creates a sticky factor for the platform. Now it becomes
Absolutely.
a tech platform. It's not just a device. And just on and on. I could go on and on. What I love about this product and this business, it's so fun because it's so extensible. And there's so many ways to take it. There's so many ways to make money from this. And
I love it.
Yes. And it's only because we have this massive opportunity where we're really focusing on this segment of the population. It's not a niche. It's half the population that has been underserved, which is great for us because that means that we have a big market in front of us, right?
Exactly.
And now we have protection, IP protection. So
woohoo! And soon you'll have design protection, double woohoo! And then you will be able to make announcements out to the world, which brings us back to take a look down in the show notes if you want to be notified as this tech becomes available, as she starts to give sneak peeks into what is coming. You can go to her website. You will find it in the show notes and get on the early notification list.
That's right.
And you're also available on LinkedIn, yes?
Yes. I use LinkedIn as my primary channel so far. And so you can get bits and pieces of the journey on there. And it's been quite a journey, having to learn how to raise money and having to set the company up for investors first, which I get impatient.
Which is different. Yeah. This isn't like just LLC overnight and
and
no.
I'm off to I'm out selling. Right? This has been a much longer front end, right?
Which exactly. Because you need a proper incorporation. C Corp. Yeah.
I mean, it's expensive. It's very expensive. You can't bootstrap a very complex micro electronic product. You need to hire an engineering team. Yeah. And that is not something I can do in my garage, unfortunately.
Yeah. Even mortgaging the house isn't going to get you over that hurdle.
No. You need to have people who come in who want to share your vision and be part of the bigger opportunity, which is an $11 billion market just in the US. Yeah,
exactly. So you need to be able to issue employee stock options and these sorts of things.
And they have to learn about. So we're set up now. Everything's laid. The foundation is here. The de-risking is done, really. I mean,
yay.
And so now it's just a matter of bringing in those last, I want to make sure we're properly capitalized before I go stumble onto the market. I want to be.
Exactly. So if you have money you want to invest as well, I'm sure she wouldn't say no to a conversation around that.
I'm not allowed to solicit directly, so I'm not even going to say whether or not that's true. But
okay. Well,
you can write to me privately about it if you want.
I'm sure there are appropriate people you could refer that conversation to.
Right.
That's right. There's no broker-dealer arrangement here.
That's right.
Right. Okay, so we are down to the end of our time. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. I appreciate it.
It was a blast. So fun.
Yes, I had
I'm going to go put on my stilettos and go dancing now.
I love it. Strut that stuff. And thank you to everyone who tuned in with us today. We do this show for you. I love to hear about your experience with the show. Was it helpful? Are there other people you want to see? Whatever is on your heart and mind. I read everything that comes in. You can put it in underneath the YouTube video in the comments, or you can shoot me an email to Zofia, Zofia, at steminstilettos.com and just let me know your thoughts. And until next week, go out, be bold, be beautiful, and be authentically you.